I'm joined now in studio by Dr. Woolfson, the CEO of Meteotech. Dr. Woolfson, thank you very much for joining me for this, to shed more light on this weather story that not everyone is completely understanding, and the President of the United States addressing this phenomenon and saying, well, if there's such extreme cold weather in the Midwest, why do people talk about global warming? Can you explain to us why the President is wrong?
Well, I'm not in politics, but I would like to shed some light about how the atmosphere behaves, and that may help us to understand the phenomenon. First of all, we have an atmosphere, which is air, and the task of the atmosphere is really to transfer warm weather or warm temperatures from the equator to the Arctic. If there was no atmosphere at all and there was no air, the temperatures in the equator would be around 100, and the temperature in the Arctic would be minus 150. So the whole idea about what we call weather or weather law is what people call in thermodynamics heat machine. They bring warm air from the south and cold air from the north, trying to equate all the air in the atmosphere to the same temperature. So what we do see, the relief coming is really the warm air from the equator through this heat machine. So what the climate change is, and people speak about climate change, is first of all you have to define what is climate. Climate is an average. It doesn't mean that the extreme phenomenon are less or more. What people have been noticing in the last years is that the change in the climate is not so big, but the frequency of extreme events has been risen tremendously. Like even in Israel, the last 4 years, there was no rain in the north. Australia now is suffering an extreme heat wave, and the US is suffering an extreme cold wave. So the extremities are really more frequent. The average is moving more slowly.
And speaking of those extremities, the polar vortex is what everyone is discussing now in the US. Can you help us understand what that phenomena is?
It's a nickname. Actually, it's a nickname. You have a pool of very cold air over the Arctic, and it's bounded by what is called the jet stream, which is a band of high-velocity winds in 300 millibars in the atmosphere, and it serves like a border, but it's a flexible border. So whenever you have some irregularities, like a warm ocean surface in the summer, that may influence the size of the belt in the winter. So the belt broke, and very cold air spilled really into the Midwest because of these changes.
Do you believe that, as a lot of people believe, that this is partly man-made? And if so, is there anything we can do?
Well, that's a very complicated question, because you have to distinguish between natural noise of the weather and then what is the contribution of man-made. Yes, we do have a contribution of man-made, and this is really getting more energy into the atmosphere. Because we have these absorbing gases in the atmosphere, the sun radiation is absorbed, and therefore the equator has more heat. As I explained in the very beginning, in the introduction, this heat has to be moved into the north. In compensation, some cold air move into the south. So what can we do? Not much, I would say, not much, but this is where we are.
Well, at least we can understand why these things are happening. And for helping us do that, thank you very much, Dr. Woolfson.
You're more than welcome.
For this. Thank you.